The record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Ricky Williams, 25-00342. Appearance, please.
Good morning, Your Honor. Haley Fortuna Gill on behalf of the people. I would like to make a motion to practice under Michigan Court Rule 8.120.
Motion is granted.
Thank you, Your Honor.
May it please the court, David B. Carter Jr. on behalf of Mr. Williams, who is at present and making his way to counsel.
All right, Mr. Williams. Today was the date that was scheduled for a preliminary examination on assault with a dangerous weapon and felony firearm. My understanding is that there is a request to adjourn.
It is, Your Honor, and I apologize. I talked with the prosecutor. I also apologize to him. I had written this on my schedule. It's treating it as a PCC. My client was going through some cancer treatment and he was in the hospital. And when I came to you, when the case was called last, he was still recovering. I didn't know how long he would be in there. And it was my understanding we were treating this as a PCC, but apparently it was not. And I'm not prepared to go. I do apologize to the court and to the prosecutor.
Oh, so we need additional time. How much time do you need?
I secured a new date if
May 22nd at 9.
22nd.
Second, yeah.
Yes, sorry.
May 22nd at 9 a.m. Any additional matters for the record today?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
Not on behalf of the people, Your Honor.
Thank you. We'll see you then.
Thank you.
Thank you. You said Mr. Cheney was downstairs.
He's present in the courtroom.
Okay, on the record in the matter of the state of Michigan versus David Lee Cheney, 25-00456.
Good morning, Your Honor. Haley Fortuna Gill on behalf of the people.
Good morning, Your Honor. Attorney John Abbott with the Public Defender's Office representing Mr. Cheney, who's standing to my right.
Thank you, Mr. Cheney. I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
That's good. I see you're scheduled today for a preliminary examination on home invasion, first degree child abuse, fourth, and then there's a domestic violence. How are we proceeding on this?
I would like to dismiss the case because I really didn't do this. There's no witnesses gonna show up. This is a false allegation on me because they was mad. They was hating on me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I've heard your motion. Counsel.
Your Honor, at this time, the people are unable to proceed due to the unavailability of necessary witnesses.
That's what, Mr. Cheney, your motion is granted. So the case will be dismissed without prejudice, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, you're doing a good job lawyering. Maybe you should get back in school and
I paid that $460 made me to pay.
I vaguely remember what you're talking about.
Remember, you put me in jail and said I had to pay $460 because
I put you in jail?
Yeah,
I put you there?
Remember the rest?
I put you there. How did you get, I didn't even take you to the jail. Who put you in jail?
Right.
It was never
It
me.
was the police.
It definitely wasn't me.
Right.
And then I saw you while you were in jail. Is that what happened?
No.
When did I see you?
You see me like 2023.
Oh, you're talking about 2 years
when I
ago?
broke the garage door for that breaking and entering? I gotta get out of here.
You sure do. You sure do. I love your honesty though. Like your candor, it's very refreshing. But I don't really remember that. I know you probably think I do. But I'm glad you paid the money so we can all move on. And this is going to be dismissed without prejudice. We're going to get you a copy.
Tether off right now?
You have a tether on for this? You
Yeah,
absolutely
it
can't get the tether off.
So what I gotta do is just go there?
You got to go back down so they can take it off. Do not remove it yourself. Okay?
Yeah, I was gonna do that too.
Okay. You can have a seat back there until we get you your paperwork. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job, Mr. Abbott.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I was wondering why he was waving to me when he walked in. I'm like, who is this? Do I know here?
Thank you.
I remember that. He didn't come. He didn't come. I think he's not. Did we finish that? We did. I remember that. Lord help us. Jesus. My Lord. Okay. What are we doing with Day Juarez? I saw Mr. Feigelson, but I don't see him anymore. And then Zakarian Murray. Is he present?
He is not present.
Did he have contact?
I have not. Was present last week for the PCC.
He said he was not.
No, he was present.
Oh, I was gonna say I had to continue.
Yep.
Okay, well, we will issue a bench warrant, but we'll hold it for 48 hours.
Thank you.
Mr. Well, at least my understanding is that necessary witnesses have not appeared for the felony exam.
Yes, Your Honor, that's true.
He's here. In the building.
Are you, okay, well, two things. Are you waiving your client's appearance for this purpose? And are you gonna fill in for Mr. Bites?
I can fill in for Mr. Feigelson, however, my client does have sentencing on probation violations scheduled today as well.
Okay, so he can be brought up. Let's see. Oh, and then we need, Clark is gonna be a plea.
Yes, Your Honor, that is the intent, yes.
Okay. On the record in the matter of this state of Michigan versus Gino Garcia, 24-00948. Parents, please.
Attorney Luke Goodrich from the Public Defender's Office, here to represent Mr. Garcia, who is standing to my right.
Okay, Mr. Garcia has a sentencing today. I do have a pre-sentence report that was prepared on the 17th. Did you get a copy of that?
Yes, we did.
So we need to make corrections, updates, or deletions.
We do not have any changes.
No.
I need De Juarez and Clark. Okay, you can make allocution.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, the report is clear that Mr. Garcia has been working to address some of his substance abuse issues that he's had in his life. He's been able to stay clean for a while. He's gotten a job working full-time at Integrity Interiors. I think the recommendation here is fair for a term of probation. He is certainly willing to do any type of drug testing to prove the fact that he's not been using it this time. So we would just ask the court to follow the recommendation in this matter and sentence him to the 6-month term of probation.
What is Integrity Interiors?
Construction company.
You're doing construction now?
Yeah, I've been doing construction.
Oh. All right, I've reviewed the pre-sentence report as well as the recommendation, which is for the defendants to do a term of probation. Okay, I have a concern about the use of various substances throughout the course of your life. I don't know if you have that same concern, but the report does indicate some moderate or a diagnosis with a moderate sedative hypnotic use disorder. And then it says this screening results indicate no evidence of random responding and a high probability for a substance use disorder and high risk for prescription drug problems. And so you're rather young. You need to get a grasp. And it looks like some of this engagement in the substances happened when you were rather young. And it could be that this recent case is because it's accelerated and not been addressed. So you're getting treatment now? Okay. You don't believe you need any treatment?
At this point, no, I don't.
And why don't you believe you need treatment at this time?
I've been doing fine.
So you've been doing fine, you said?
Yeah, I've been doing good without it.
What things that you've done to make sure that you are on a different path now?
He's working with me with my kids. I haven't done much of a change. I just haven't had the urge to go back to do that.
Okay, so what happens if you find yourself in a situation where there's an urge? Then what do you do?
Haven't been here.
So that's the concern, is that you need to make sure you have some tools in place so that if you find yourself in a predicament where you're tempted or stressed or depressed or whatever, that you're not resorting back to damaging behavior like the use of substances that are harming you. That's the overall concern. The recommendation at this time doesn't include you participating in any inpatient treatment. But I do think that you need to do some outpatient treatment. So I am going to adopt the recommendation. You're going to be sentenced to 6 months probation. While on probation, you have the following conditions. You need to maintain your employment and provide verification of that to the probation officer. You will be reporting via Zoom remotely for probation. You're not to engage in any assaultive or threatening behavior. You are not to use, purchase, or possess any alcohol or drugs unless you have a valid prescription. You will be required to submit to random preliminary drug testing and urinalysis testing, and you have to pay the fee for that, okay? You're not to purchase or possess a firearm, ammunition, or weapon of any kind while on probation, and you're not to be at any bars or nightclubs while on probation. Do you have any questions so far? I'm going to order that you participate in outpatient substance abuse treatment. As recommended by the probation department. I also am going to order. I'm going to amend my previous statement. The outpatient abuse will only be triggered if you test positive for a substance, okay? There's a $75 crime victim rights fee that must be assessed, plus a $50 state minimum cost that must be assessed. Probation is $30 per month, so it's $180 if you do the full 6 months of probation. Waive discretionary fines and costs. Your total is going to be $305. You will be able to make monthly payments on that. You understand that? Last but not least, there's an advice of rights as to probation. States you've been placed on a term of probation before this court. In that. More than one file. I know I have two of everything. You've been placed on a term of probation before this court, and your terms are individually tailored and specific to your assessed risks and needs. And so, except for a domestic violence, criminal sex crime, stalking offense, or an offense where the defense of guilty but mentally ill was asserted, you would have the right to request early discharge after you complete half the term. So you're being placed on 6 months after 3 months if you've not violated within the 90 days preceding that, which is the full 3 months, then you can request to be discharged early from probation. You would use the court's NC 512 form, or you can get that off the court website or get it from your probation officer. If you complete that form, you file it with the probation department, and you also need to serve a copy at the prosecutor's office. The prosecutor has 14 days to respond in writing with any objections to your early discharge. If I set it for a hearing, you have the right to hire an attorney to represent you for the hearing. You do not have the right to court-appointed counsel for that hearing. You understand that? Do you have any questions?
Not bring up. They did not bring up the card. She's on the jail list. I guess theirs got cut off downstairs. And they didn't bring
So
over the
Clark's
card.
not here.
No, and they're bringing up the list.
Okay. Thank you. All right, we're gonna get you down to meet with probation, and then you'll be free to go. They'll just check in and get you set up so that when your order of probation is completed, you can review and sign it, okay? You should have some credit for time here. Is it 34 days?
37.
Any additional matters for the record?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Thank you, you're all set. Okay, so who represents, who's Ms. Schroeder? From Clark?
Yes.
They mean they list was cut off. I don't get it. You don't see her on the jail list? Who was it that she was showing me? Wonder what the copy criminal is.
She's on her way in.
She's not on this list. Mark was not on this list. There's nothing's cut off. Is that the one that was said? This is one Susie sent. So, yeah. So, she had it was on there. The one she had, it was on there. The piece of paper she has? Yeah, but I don't know what that is. Okay, on the record in the matter of the State of Michigan versus Luis J. Juves, 25-01036, and then 23-03533.
Good morning, Your Honor. Haley Fortuna Gill on behalf of the people.
Good morning, Your Honor. Assistant Public Defender Stephen Feigelson on behalf of the defendant here today. Standing in for Mr. Austin, who's absent today.
And Jacob Rowley on behalf of Mr. Lewis as well.
Today was the date set for a preliminary examination on one file. Actually, it might be up. There was a violation of probation on the other. As to the preliminary examination, my understanding is that the necessary witnesses are not here.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Counsel.
Yes, Your Honor, the defense stands ready to proceed today. We ask for the court to dismiss the matter. We are aware it is without prejudice and people can be filed, but nonetheless, we ask for dismissal today.
Motion to dismiss is granted. Let's see. I think I reset the other violation to today because it stemmed from that, or it was connected to that case. Is that accurate?
Yeah, yes, Your Honor.
So then that violation is withdrawn. This is not his first violation, but was it? He had a violation in March. That he pled guilty to. I think that was the first violation.
That's right. Your Honor.
That violation was him failing to make payments and failing to test and then failing to enroll in outpatient treatment and then failing to report. So I can understand, I think some of this concern of the probation department was your client expressed difficulties paying because of income, but that doesn't excuse or explain your failure to report to probation.
Yes,
You're not working?
I'm not working currently on the employee.
When was the last time you worked?
Last time I worked, I believe, was a year ago.
Why haven't you worked since then?
Due to my mental health, I was actually struggling with my mental health. I've been hospitalized for my mental health between January and February of this year. And I'm applying for SSI, so I haven't been able to work due to my disability and my mental health.
I'm dismissing the April 19th violation. How long has he been in custody?
For this current stretch, he's been in custody since April 5th, which I believe would be 19 days.
I'm gonna credit you 19 days served. And terminate your probation unsuccessfully. You owe a balance of $425. That'll be referred to collections. You need to meet with them to make a payment arrangement, okay?
Okay.
Your address,
Is 710 West Lenawee Street, Lansing, Michigan.
phone number ends in 6100.
Correct.
Okay, you're all set, thank you.
Thank you.
What is this list that you're showing me? What's her name, what parks and the one?
When I added it to the list, I started printing them out. Because people were being taken off the list. And she's on the list.
How are they being taken off?
Some, I guess when other officers go in, sometimes maybe they might accidentally delete someone because it is 2 pages, but she's definitely on the jail list.
Confused. Somebody might delete them.
Yeah.
Okay, and then. I don't see a blue law firm here anymore. Are you on a matter?
No, Judge, I'm just waiting to speak to Ms. Martinez.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say, I didn't see you on my,
Cleared up that.
okay, sounds good.
Yeah,
See you later.
but good to see you.
You too, okay. Let's see. That was Garcia. Henry Hersy present?
Yeah.
On the record in the matter of the state of Michigan versus Henry Hersy, 25-00605.
Good morning, Your Honor. Haley Fortuna Gill on behalf of the people.
And good morning, Your Honor. Assistant Public Defender Aaron Schroeder on behalf of it's legally Mr. Henry Hersy, but Miss Hersy. Thank you.
Let's see, how are we proceeding on this? This was supposed to be an exam today. Are we having an exam?
The people are unable to proceed, Your Honor. We do not have the necessary witnesses.
This time, Your Honor, the defense will be asking the court for dismissal. Thank you.
Motion to dismiss is granted without prejudice. Other people do have the right to reissue this against you. Do you understand? Do you have any questions? That's why you see it from the finance pressure. Okay. We'll get your copy in just a moment.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Ms. Wanji, hi. Ms. Schroeder, you need to speak with your client, correct?
Yes, Your Honor, very briefly, if I may.
Okay, I'll put you in room 1.
Thank you.
Okay, on the record, in the matter of the state of Michigan versus Joshua Lee James, 25-01075, appearance, please.
Good morning, Your Honor. Haley Fortuna Gill on behalf of the people.
Good morning, Your Honor. Dwayne Silverthorne from the Office of Public Defender on behalf of Joshua Lee James, who is standing at counsel table to my right.
Okay, today was the date scheduled for a follow-up probable cause conference because a new intake was needed. We do see that he's represented by you, Mr. Silverthorne. And are we going to continue to examine this?
No, Your Honor, we're going to waive the preliminary examination.
The people are waiving exam as well?
Yes, Your Honor, the people waive their examination.
Are you sure?
Well, the client whispered something in my ear that
Okay.
was opposite to what he told me 15 minutes ago, so.
No, you take your time.
Changed his mind from when I visited him 30 minutes ago. He would like to keep the exam on.
Okay, so due to the nature of you needing to get a attorney and there needed to be a new intake, you weren't able to hold your exam on the 25th. We are going to find good cause to adjourn beyond the 21 days and reset this matter so that you can have your preliminary examination, okay? Is that a yes?
Yeah.
Okay. May 30th at 9. May 30th at 9.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
No problem. Any additional matters for the record?
Not on behalf of the people.
May 30th at 9.
I'll do that at that hearing. Wait for me.
Did we find the paperwork for Nicholas?
Oh, it's Nicholas. That's just, yeah.
I think so.
Question.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen Miss Wangi, but I guess she's trying to find this stuff.
That's my understanding.
May I readdress?
Yes, back on the record in this matter.
It appears that Mr. James has been to mental health court and has some cognitive issues. And because of my being appointed so recently, I have not had an opportunity to meet with him. He would like to waive, but he wants me to make a motion on his bond, which I had told him I would do. Or if we have the exam, I'll do it after the exam, the court has all the facts of the case. He now indicates he wants to waive, always did. He just wants to make sure that afterwards I address Your Honor on the issue of bond.
Waiving is not going to get you a bond, if that's what you think.
I mean, I'm not with you.
I can't hear you. Can you speak up?
I was just trying to see if I could,
Do you, let me first address the issue of your exam. Do you want to have your preliminary examination?
Here, yes, and this should, yes.
Okay, so the strategy is not wait till you think you're gonna get a PR bond, because I'm not giving you a PR bond because you wait.
No, I just, okay.
So do you want your exam or no?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and you have the right to have your exam. The reason why you're in your bond is 2,000 cash shorty. It looks like you have a loaded criminal history here. And there was a concern about where you would live.
Oh, ma'am, I've been out the outreach doing good at the outreach since last October. I've been doing so good at the outreach. That's what I wanted to explain to you about. My real mother passed, my stepfather passed, and my real father passed away. I've been doing so good at the outreach since last October, and I just really want to make it back home. That's my home, the outreach. I have no one. My baby sister lives right behind the outreach, the apartments. There's some apartments right behind the outreach, so we're just connecting. She sent me not that much, probably like $5 or $10 on Cash App, someone's Cash App, so I get noodles to eat and stuff like that. That's my life. I hold up a sign to stop stealing cars. That's what I do. I hold up a sign. And JMO gave me a chance. And it's been about 2 years since I got in trouble. I told him I would hold up a sign. I will hold up a sign, and I would not steal any cars. And in the end, I was supposed to get an apartment through apps. I'm doing very good. I work with the apps program, but as soon as I told the apps people that I don't want to be in the program anymore, I stole the car. Why? I don't know. But they're supposed to, all she needed was
Mr. James,
birth certificate.
Mr. James, you're not helping on your bond, and you are definitely not helping on your case.
Well, I just want to know if I go to the outreach and hope live at the outreach one more time. Tell you the change.
It sounds like you need to meet with your attorney and work through how this matter could potentially be resolved. That's the first issue. You made some statements here on the record that probably are not helpful to your case.
You haven't met him today.
He just got on the case. That was why we reset this, because you needed to have an attorney. So that's why he hasn't had an opportunity to meet with you. What I can do is set this for a PCC prior to the May 30th. And then that way your attorney can make a bond motion then, okay?
Okay, all the way from a month from now?
No, I'm gonna give you a date earlier that for a hearing.
Okay.
May 2nd at 9 a.m.
So I'll get PR date.
Well, we don't know yet. Your attorney will get more information and then he'll make a bond motion then, okay? We don't even, you may have a resolution by then too. I don't know. That time doesn't work.
I'm starting a jury trial with Judge Aquilina next Friday. Myself and Mr. Pfeiffer.
On Friday you start?
Yes.
Thursday.
May 8th.
Oh, you're not gonna be here. I know we won't be here maybe. But I mean, he could see Judge DeLuca. May 8th.
I will be here the 8th because I'm having two then.
We won't be, I won't be here the 8th, but Judge DeLuca will be here.
Okay.
At 8:30.
Okay, May 8th at 8:30 before Judge DeLuca. Any additional matters for today's record?
On behalf of the people, Your Honor.
Thank you, you're all
None
set.
for the defendant. Thank you, Your Honor.
No problem. This is the matter of the state of Michigan versus Marie Clark. Counsel, can I have your appearance?
Christina Gill on behalf of the people.
Thank you, Your Honor. Assistant Public Defender Aaron Schroeder on behalf of Ms. Clark, who joins us from the Ingham County Jail. Myself, we joined by Zoom. I joined by Zoom, sorry.
Thank you. Today was the date that's scheduled for an exam, but my understanding that there was a potential resolution on this.
That is correct, Your Honor. It's our understanding that the defendant will plead to the domestic violence charge and the remainder will be dismissed. Additionally, there's an additional case number 24-03040-SM that would also be dismissed. And there's also 7694A.
No objection to 7694.
Yeah, we have no objection to 7694A.
Is that correct, Ms. Schroeder?
Yes, Your Honor, and I believe that there was also a PA 53 violation that was a result of the file that's being dismissed. I'd ask the court to consider dismissal on that. Thank you.
Wait, what is being dismissed? Is that the 24-03040? Is that the one connected to the PA 53?
Yeah, that is my understanding of the file, Your Honor, yes.
Okay, and so Ms. Clark, you want to plead guilty to the domestic violence with no objection to sentencing under 769.4A? Yes, ma'am. Raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're going to give is the truth and the whole truth under penalty of perjury? Yes. You can put your hand down. Okay, you have the right in this matter to take this case all the way to jury trial. You have the right to maintain silence at trial and not have silence be used against you. You are innocent until proven guilty, and you would have to waive your right to the presumption of innocence in order to plead guilty to the domestic violence. You have the right to also give up your right to cross-examine any of the witnesses that the prosecutor was going to call to testify against you. You would also have to waive your right to have witnesses subpoenaed to testify on your behalf, and the right to present evidence at trial that you believe show a defense to the charge being brought against you. Do you understand those rights that you would need to give up today? Yes, ma'am. And you are willing to give those rights up? Yes. Is anyone threatening you to get you to plead guilty? No. Has there been any promises extended to you not stated here on the record if you plead guilty? No. Are you currently on probation or on parole? No. You understand that by pleading guilty, it could result in a conviction that you may need to report to a current employer, or you may need to put this on a future job application. Yes. It also could have impact on where you can travel or get immigration status. You understand that? Yes. As to domestic violence, how do you plead? Guilty. Factual basis, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Clark, back on August 2nd of 2024, were you at or near an address of 3101 West Jolly Road?
Yes.
And is that located in the city of Lansing, County of Ingham, state of Michigan?
Yes, it is.
And at that time, did you get into an altercation with a gentleman by the name of Eddie Gage?
Yes, I did.
And at some point, did it come to you were fighting verbally, is that correct?
Yeah, he was talking to me verbally, abusing me. And I said some harsh words, and he spit on me, and that's when I started hitting.
And that's when you started hitting him?
Yes.
Okay. And you were doing that because you were mad, correct? You were angry about being spat on?
Yeah, because he was spitting, spit on me.
Okay. So it wasn't done in self-defense is what I'm getting at, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Your Honor, and he is someone that you were in a dating relationship with, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor. If the court or the prosecutor have any further questions.
So I'm just making sure I'm clear. Someone spitting at her and she swung at them?
They got, yes.
Well, spitting is an assault.
I think Ms. Clark, did it go beyond what you would have needed to do to defend yourself from any assault? The physical altercation that you did?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so she did more than just swing at him for spitting.
Yes.
Is that correct? Ms. Clark?
Yes.
Ms. Clark?
Yes.
Okay. The court will accept or any questions from the prosecution, I'm sorry.
Not anymore, Your Honor.
The court is satisfied with the factual basis. I'll accept your plea. I find your plea to be made freely, voluntarily, and intelligently. This matter is scheduled for sentencing June 5th at 9 a.m. You do need to meet with the probation department so that they can get you scheduled for a pre-sentence interview. I'm assuming she's just being held on this because it said she was remanded, correct?
That is correct, Your Honor. However, she at this time doesn't have anywhere to stay, so we would just ask that the court consider just lowering the bond, and she also hasn't, at this time. But not necessarily a PR bond, I think.
Okay, bond in this matter will be amended to 510%. And if she's still in the custody of Ingham County Jail, we'll have our probation meet with her. Otherwise, she needs to report to probation within 48 hours of her release from custody in person, okay?
All right.
Okay, and the bond violation is dismissed per the plea agreement. Any additional matters for the record?
Not on behalf of the people, Your Honor.
What was the time on June 5th, Your Honor?
9 a.m.
9 a.m. All right, I did hear that correctly. Thank you, Your Honor. Nothing further.
Thank you. You're all set. On the record in the matter of the state of Michigan versus Ahmad Taylor, 24-03295, appearance, please.
Good morning, Your Honor. Ian Fortuna Gill on behalf of the people.
Attorney Luke Fitch from the Public Defender's Office, here to represent Mr. Taylor, who is standing to my right.
Okay, this matter was scheduled for an exam. How are we proceeding?
Your Honor, we are intending to move forward with the exam.
Interesting. Wasn't aware of that. I was told we didn't, Mr. Etheridge was representing, that it was Mr. Goodrich. We are running an exam.
Yes.
Okay, you can have a seat because I'm not ready to run the exam.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. Ms. Wanji,
Yes, sir.
you ready on Nicholas?
Yes, sir.
We can have Nicholas brought up. On the record in the matter of the state of Michigan versus James Nicholas 25-00195, 25-00211, council appearances.
Good morning, Your Honor. Haley Fortuna Gill on behalf of the people.
Good morning, and may I have the one for Mr. Nicholas, who's at the council table.
Okay, so we got two files here for Mr. Nicholas. I believe my understanding is that this is getting transferred to treatment court.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Got order prepared.
Almost done.
May I approach the order?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I've signed the order to transfer this case to the treatment court at 30th Circuit Court. Is that where this is going? No, 54B. 54B. Okay, District Court. Okay, I'll get it signed by Judge Buchanan as well. And that should resolve anything on this. I think on both of these files, he does have a 10% bond. It's a 2,000 10% on one, and then a 3,500 10% on the other. Any additional matters for the record?
Not on behalf of the people, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor, what time like we to address bond, he would like to, bond to be, transferred to a PR bond to allow him to go to, treatment court. He's been working with,
To allow him to go where?
to treatment court, in treatment court, he's patient. Inpatient form.
No, March 14th, I had to, a note here, he was supposed to check in with pretrial services. Defendant was supposed to be released to go to House of Commons, but he didn't.
They didn't release me to House of Commons.
The order was that he was supposed to be released to the House of Commons, and it's my understanding that they just released him.
I went to the House of Commons right after work, and they said they didn't have no bed space. I went there straight from the jail. And I told them that I was supposed to be released to rehab.
That's not what I have here, and then I have multiple contempts hearing because then you failed to appear back in court. And so we don't want to lose track of where you are. We need to make sure, and that was after you were given a bond amended so you can go to House of Commons. I don't know how you were released and you didn't go to House of Commons. I don't know how that happened, but we didn't see you again after that until we were able to get you for your contempt. So you were arraigned. Judge Forrest gave you the bond based on the issue of losing track of you. Now you're scheduled to be transferred to a treatment court.
With a GPS tether, the treatment work.
There's a bed at House of Commons for him.
I'm
asking your attorney.
I have no confirmation that there is a bed.
Motion is denied. You can take that up over at the next court. She doesn't have any confirmation. I'm not gonna take your word for it. Any additional matters for the record?
No, yeah, thank you.
We're all set. Okay, now we can do Mr. Taylor.
You can't just not gonna sign it if the other court, I took another. Trying to get a picture. Because they can't, the records office can't even process the transfer unless the other side is signed to. So you need to get signatures from whoever it's going to.
Oh, over at the 54B, makes sense. Yeah, they were supposed to do that before they brought it here. On the record in the matter of the state of Michigan versus Ahmad Taylor, are we ready to proceed?
Your Honor, the people are prepared to move forward with the exam. Haley Fortuna Gill on behalf of the people, Your Honor.
Yes, once we move to it from the public defender's office here to represent Mr. Taylor, and we are ready to proceed with the exam.
Okay, any preliminary matters before we call witnesses?
Your Honor, I may need to use the cord to show videos up there at some point.
I don't know if the cord really works here, so you're gonna have to log in and then share your screen. Do you know how to do that? Log into Zoom.
Okay.
Yeah, the cord never works in this courtroom. I don't know why. You can have a seat, sir.
Leave us in the waiting room for now and we'll get there.
Oh, no, I'm gonna admit you and I gotta give you a co-host options. And then that way, when you're ready to share your screen, you'll stay muted though. When you're ready to share your screen, you just have to share sound so that it picks up the sound it's supposed to pick up too whenever you're playing the video, okay? Okay, and any other preliminary matters? You're still having technical issues?
We have them resolved, Your Honor.
Okay, you can call your witness.
At this time, the people would like to call Trooper Andrew Morgan.
Schaefer's one where it's also graduate. Morgan's video, and then a photo that.
Okay. Thank you. We're not.
Solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're going to give is the truth and the whole truth under the penalty of perjury.
Yes, ma'am.
You can have a seat. You can state your first and last name and spell both.
Andrew, Andrew, Morgan, Morga.
Thank you, proceed, counsel.
Good morning, Trooper Morgan. Thank you for being here. Can you start by telling us a little bit about what you do and who you work for?
I'm employed by the Michigan State Police. I'm currently assigned to the Secured Cities Partnership in conjunction with the Lansing Police Department Violent Crime Initiative. Basically just a lot of it is proactive police work preventing violent crime in the city of Lansing, as well as when any violent crime occurs, such as shootings, homicides, stuff like that. We work on those.
Okay, and how long have you been a trooper with Michigan State Police?
4 years.
And what, I guess you already talked about it a little bit, but can you dive into it a little bit more about the partnership with LPD with the Violent Crimes Initiative?
Yeah, so the Secured Cities Partnership is the state police half of the partnership.
Okay.
It's uniformed officers. Typically, 4 officers, a sergeant, and a canine are assigned to it. And then the Lansing Police Department half is undercover officers, which typically conduct surveillance, stuff like that. And then it's more of a targeted police effort, I guess.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Thank you for the clarification. Do you recall working on October 30th, 2024?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell me a little bit about what happened that day? If there was anything notable?
My partner and myself, my partner Trooper Schaefer and myself, we're conducting surveillance at the Royal Liquor Store. It's at the corner of Martin Luther King Boulevard and Holmes Road. We observed a subject, later identified as Ahmad Taylor, walk from his vehicle that was parked towards the Burger King there, walked to the liquor store. He had his hand in his hoodie pocket, and you could see that there was a heavy object in the hoodie pocket.
Okay.
He then exited the store with both hands out of his hoodie pocket, and you could tell that there was a heavy object in the hoodie pocket again.
Okay, so let's back up a little bit. You said that you, would you be able to identify Ahmad Taylor if you saw him today?
Yes.
Do you see him in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Can you please point him out and describe an article of clothing that he's wearing?
Sitting over there with a black sweater and a black collared shirt.
Thank you. Your Honor, the record reflects that Trooper Morgan has identified the defendant, Ahmad Taylor.
No objection to the defense, Your Honor.
Identification is noted.
Thank you. And then just to clarify, what were the cross streets that you were at, that the Royal Liquor Store, I believe is what you said?
It's Martin Luther King Boulevard and Holmes and Road.
Okay, and is that in the city of Lansing?
Correct.
County of Ingham?
Correct.
State of Michigan?
Correct.
Thank you. Okay, so you see the defendant walking with something heavy in his pocket. Then what happens next?
He gets back into his vehicle, pulls out of the parking lot without coming to a complete stop. We begin following the vehicle northbound on Martin Luther King Boulevard.
Okay.
I conducted a lean check on the vehicle, which revealed it was an EIV no status, which is no insurance.
Okay, so then what did you do?
As the vehicle turned westbound onto Victor Ave, we initiated a traffic stop utilizing our emergency lights. The vehicle continued driving westbound on Victor Ave until it reached, I can't remember if it was the next side street or the one after. It then turned northbound and didn't come to a stop until Sergeant Williams pulled his fully marked state police Tahoe in front of the vehicle, basically boxing it in, preventing it from driving.
Okay, so the vehicle that you were you driving or was your partner driving?
My partner was driving.
Okay, but you were in that vehicle?
Correct.
Okay, and was that vehicle marked?
Correct.
Okay, And what were you and your partner wearing?
The same uniform.
Okay. And at what point did you put on, or you or your partner put on the lights and sirens?
It was as we were turning on the Victor Ave.
So about how long from when you put on the lights until the defendant stopped?
Under a minute.
Okay, but you were following them with your lights on.
Correct. And it was nighttime. It's very evident that.
Okay. Okay. So eventually defendant stops. What happens next?
I went up to the passenger side of the vehicle because I was riding passenger. Trooper Schaefer and Sergeant Williams went to the driver's side of the vehicle where Mr. Taylor was sitting. He was being ordered out of the vehicle, at which point I opened the passenger door and reached in and turned the vehicle off.
Okay.
To prevent him from either one further fleeing, and if that did happen with all of us standing around the vehicle, it's a safety issue. I don't want to get ran over. At which point I turned the vehicle off and stepped out of the vehicle. And as I'm standing in the door jamb, I see a firearm kind of tucked under the passenger seat, but it's not fully under it. It's visible.
Okay. And then what happened?
Mr. Taylor was arrested, and then I read him his Miranda rights. He agreed to speak with me. He stated that the firearm was registered to him.
And was that true?
Yes.
Okay. And did to your knowledge, did the defendant have a permit for that firearm?
He did not have his concealed pistol license.
Great, thank you. 1 second. 1 moment, Your Honor. And then just for clarification, Trooper Morgan, was the defendant Ahmad Taylor, was he the only occupant of the vehicle?
Correct.
Okay. No further questions.
Cross exam.
Your Honor. Trooper Morgan.
Good morning.
So you stated that you and Trooper Schaefer were surveilling the Royal Liquor. Was that involved to Mr. Taylor being there, or why were you there?
Because it's an area that we often see individuals with firearms. So it's a hot spot.
You were there looking for people that you believe to possessing a firearm. Is that fair to say?
People who are committing criminal activity, I guess you would say.
Can you keep your voice up a little bit, because we got fans going, so
Yeah,
it's
sorry,
fellow.
man.
You said people committing what?
Criminal acts.
Okay.
Okay, and Mr. Taylor, when you see him, has a hooded sweatshirt on, correct?
Correct.
And it's is it fair to classify that it's a large sweatshirt with a large pocket in the front?
Sure.
Okay, and when you first see him, his hands are in his pocket?
His left hand.
His left hand, okay. And you believe you see some further object in that pocket?
Correct.
But you don't see what it is?
Correct, it's concealed in the pocket.
Does there ever come a time he pulls that object out of the pocket?
No.
Okay, so you never saw anything come out of that pocket?
No.
Were you then in the vehicle with Trooper Schaefer following behind his car?
Correct.
And you testified earlier that you didn't come to a complete stop, is that correct?
While leaving the private drive, correct.
Okay, did you immediately pull him over for failing to stop?
Not immediately. We had to catch up to the vehicle, and then I ran the plate, which then.
Well, we'll get you, but it's your testimony that you ran the plate before you pulled him over?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay. Well, let me. so. Yeah, I checked, share screen.
Yep, did you share sound too?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, Trooper Schaefer, does this appear to be the vehicle that you're riding in, following the vehicle that you claim Mr. Taylor was driving?
Correct.
And who was driving your vehicle?
Trooper Schaefer is driving.
Okay, so you're in the passenger seat?
Correct.
Okay, would this video appear to be a fair and accurate representation of essentially you pulling over Mr. Taylor on that night?
This looks like us following him, yeah.
Okay, so this does look accurate to you?
Yeah.
Okay, Your Honor, at this time, the defense would move to admit Exhibit A, which would be the video of the officers, I guess, pulling over Mr. Taylor.
Your Honor, I would just want to make sure that Trooper Morgan had watched this video in its completion.
You want to know if you watched this video on completion?
Yeah, I don't see, my only issue is that I just don't see like a date or anything, and I don't see Trooper Morgan's name on here, which would make sense because his partner was driving, so I just want to make
Yeah, I
sure
see-
that this
I
is the right
see-
video.
I think it says Luke Schaefer in the corner on this.
Yes.
Your Honor, if I may show, it doesn't show up real well on this screen, but if I may show.
That's fine.
fellow counsel,
Yeah.
It has the date kind of covered up.
Oh,
here,
oh, I
10/30,
see.
24 with the time,
Okay,
22:18.
yep, that matches up then.
Oh.
People have no objection then, Your Honor.
Okay, defense A is admitted.
Okay, Your Honor, at this time, I'd like to play a portion of that for Trooper Schaefer to observe. Okay, so this is where you're following him down north on MLK, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and at this point, there haven't been any moving violations on this video that you witnessed.
No, it's video, no.
Right.
What, Chief?
Okay, when that sound comes on, is that essentially a signal that that's when you've turned the lights, when Trooper Schaefer would have turned the lights on?
Exactly.
Okay, so we are on Victor Street at this time?
Victor Avenue,
Victor
yeah.
Street, okay.
We're still slow rolling.
Trooper, what speed is Trooper Schaefer driving at this moment?
19 miles per hour.
Okay, and that would be basically to match the speed of the person you claim is fleeing essentially at that time?
Correct.
Mod Taylor. You might be coming here stuff.
You just heard that, I just heard you state that was your voice on that we just heard in the video, correct?
Yes.
And that would be you finding out who the vehicle is essentially registered to?
Yes.
So would that also be the time that you were able to determine whether or not the vehicle was insured?
So when you run a plate, there's a heading for the vehicle registration, but then there's also one for a driver's license, which wouldn't show any of the vehicle information. It just shows the driver's license information of the person that's registered to. So I don't know if that was me reading his name off of the vehicle registration part, or if that was after I did that, if I looked at his driver's license heading and looked at his name and all his.
How would you know who the driver was to look into the driver's license information at that time?
I wouldn't know who the driver is, but the registered owner.
Okay. But so essentially though, you come into this information as to the registered owner and the insurance after the sirens come on according to this video. Isn't that fair to say in this video?
That's not what I said.
Well, you did just watch this video, correct?
I said his name in the video. I didn't say anything about the insurance.
Okay.
19, we're still on, turning northbound on Marion.
All right, and then you see this vehicle pull over, essentially it was the first street after you turned on the lights. Appeared?
That was the first side street after
Yes.
on Victor Avenue.
In your experience as an officer, do vehicles that you put the lights on frequently turn on to a quick side street to get off the busier road?
Not when they're on Victor Avenue in
Well,
the middle of the night.
I'm
with
not asking
nobody
about the
on it.
specific, I'm asking, is that something that you have seen drivers do in your
If we're on
time
the-
as a?
If we're on the freeway or a busy road like Martin Luther King Boulevard, yes.
Okay. But here, like I said, we're talking about the first road, correct?
You know, first road off of Victor Avenue where the traffic stop was initiated.
Correct. So this is the
Where
first.
they
the
eventually
first road.
stopped.
And the vehicle was traveling less than 20 miles per hour during almost the entirety of that. Is that fair to say?
It's fleeing at 20 miles per hour, yes.
Well, that's your conclusion, but the vehicle was traveling at that speed.
Correct.
And then you testify that, was it Sergeant Williams in the other vehicle?
Correct, in the Tahoe.
Okay, so after Mr. Taylor stops, Trooper Williams pulls in front to block the vehicle from going any further?
That's what caused him to stop, yes.
Okay. And I have a photo to introduce to you at this time. It basically almost is very close to this, but if I may approach, Your Honor.
Yes.
Do you recognize the scene?
Yes.
And is this something that you would have witnessed that night?
Yes, I was on the other side of the vehicle.
Okay.
Or
actually, you a little later on, but
okay, yeah, that is.
Okay,
Yes.
but this is Mr. Taylor's vehicle here?
Correct.
So Your Honor, at this time, the defense is this a fair and accurate representation of the scene that night?
Yes.
Okay, Your Honor, at this time, the defense would move to admit defense exhibit B.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
Defense exhibit B is admitted.
And in this photo, it's clear that this vehicle here is cut over to prevent Mr. Taylor from fleeing, just as I'm sure you're trained to do, correct? And Trooper Morgan, you approached on the passenger side of the vehicle, correct?
Correct.
And it was Officer Williams who approached, Trooper Williams who approached from the driver's side.
Sergeant Williams and Trooper Schaefer, yes.
Okay, Sergeant Williams. And when you get there, Sergeant Schaefer has essentially told you hear Sergeant Schaefer order him to put his hands up.
I don't recall that. I recall him being ordered out of the vehicle.
Okay. Let me take a look at the video here. Does it show, the video shows that the brake lights essentially are on this vehicle. Is that
correct?
Fair to say? Okay. And they continue to be on when you approach the car? We can play a little further here. You still see the brake lights on, is that fair?
Correct.
And would a person continue to have the brake lights on essentially because if the vehicle is in drive?
Typically, yeah.
And you heard Sergeant Williams order Mr. Taylor out of.
Correct.
And is that when you see Mr. Taylor then touch the shifter to essentially put the vehicle in park at that time?
It appears that's probably what he was doing, yeah.
And then did Mr. Taylor go back to putting his hands in the air?
I don't recall.
Your Honor, at this time, I'd like to move on to another exhibit here.
you
Sorry.
find the
All
video.
right. Right.
Probably my sergeant.
Okay, Trooper Morgan, does this appear to be your body cam video from that evening?
Correct.
And this again would be a fair and accurate representation of what was happening
Correct.
during this event? Okay, Your Honor, at this time, and again, this is, we have the dates kind of covered up there, but it's that event. Your Honor, at this time, the defense would move to admit Defense Exhibit C, which would be the body cam video of Trooper Morgan.
Is any objection to this?
Can I just confirm, can I move
Sure.
this box so I can confirm the date? Sorry.
You see in the corner of mine, it says October 30th.
Oh, yep, I see it too. There you go. No objection then, Your Honor.
Defense C is admitted.
They said maybe I could get it towed to my house. I just live a couple blocks down the street.
Your Honor, I apologize. I believe I have the wrong Trooper Morgan video. This is his body cam video, but it's from a few minutes later in the evening. This would be defendant's admitted Exhibit C here. This is the video when you first get out of the car.
We're still slow rolling. Ahmad Taylor. Still slow rolling.
And Trooper, what do you see yourself, since you're typing in the screen there?
See myself looking at the screen. Yeah.
And that's where you find out the Ahmad Taylor name after the sirens were on.
Correct.
19, we're still rolling. Turning northbound on Marion. We're stopped.
Okay, and did you just witness Sergeant Morgan approach the vehicle?
Sergeant Williams. Yeah.
Sergeant Williams, I'm sorry. Sergeant Williams is approaching the vehicle, and Mr. Taylor had his hands in the air when he approached the vehicle.
I saw his right hand in there. Yeah.
Okay, and then did you see his arm go down to essentially the shifter at that time?
Correct.
And that would be, based on what we've seen from videos, him putting the vehicle in park.
From what we've seen here, yes.
Hands are there. You can pull it over. I'm right down the street.
So you opened the door at that moment, correct?
Correct.
And both of his hands were back in the air.
You can see at least his right arm's in the area.
So
You can back up a couple seconds. I thought I saw both his hands go up.
And turning northbound on Marion. We're stopped.
Hands are there. You can pull it over. I'm right down.
You're looking for it right there?
Okay, yeah, I saw the other hand. Okay.
You're being pulled over?
Yeah, I'm right down the street.
You want me to come there right now?
Yeah.
Okay, so when you enter the vehicle, there is no threat of Mr. Taylor turning the vehicle on, putting the car in drive and driving out of there, is there?
Well, there's definitely a threat of that.
Well, you've already testified that the vehicle was completely blocked by Sergeant Williams from going forward, correct? That was your testimony?
The roadway is blocked, but as you can see, he could easily just drive up on the curb and go around.
Yeah, but you also see his hands in the air at the time that you decide to go into that vehicle, didn't you?
Yes, and they could go down at any moment.
But he was being escorted out of the vehicle at that time by your sergeant, by Sergeant Williams.
Simultaneously, sure.
But essentially, weren't you using this as an excuse basically to get into the vehicle at that time? And at this point, so then your flashlight comes on at this point after he's already out of the vehicle, wasn't he?
Correct.
And that's when you start doing, essentially searching for other items and leaning into the vehicle.
I'm not leaning in, I'm standing outside it.
Well, you did initially lean in, and then you're right now kind of right in the door jam, basically.
I reached and I pulled the keys out, and I got out, and I'm standing in the door jam outside of the threshold of the vehicle, and I shined my light, and there was a gun.
Okay, so essentially though, since you're taking advantage of the fact that you came up with a reason to get into the vehicle to open the door to give yourself a better angle to search for things.
That's not what I did.
Had you not opened the door, isn't it fair to say, had you not opened that door and gone in there at all, you would not have seen that firearm?
Objection, Your Honor, that's speculative.
Yeah.
No, he can answer that. If he had the door closed, could he see a weapon in plain view?
I believe I still would have been able to see it through the window because it was poking out of the.
But you were at the window prior to opening the door, correct?
But that, looking right there at that point was not my concern at all. My concern was, one, getting him out of the vehicle, making sure nobody got
That may
ran
be,
over.
but you were at the door prior to opening the door, correct?
Correct.
And you did not see the firearm prior to opening the door?
Correct.
Let this play out for a little bit.
52. Yeah. Ask Smithy knows Tommy Brooks.
Second light there, me.
You get pictures? No, not yet. All right.
I'm gonna back up just a second to get a look at Mr. Taylor, what he's wearing.
Ask Smithy knows Tommy.
Okay, so that is Mr. Taylor, correct?
Video's not playing. Just the audio.
It's played on mine. I wonder why it's stuck there.
Um,
Because I have a different thing on my screen here. I see Mr. Taylor on my screen.
Your Honor, may I show Trooper Morgan my screen, I guess?
Yes, something's must be going on there.
Here's.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay, is that Mr. Taylor wearing the sweatshirt you saw him in earlier? Correct. And is it fair to say it's kind of a big baggy sweatshirt in the front?
Yeah.
When Mr. Taylor was searched on scene, was there anything found in his pocket at that time?
I don't believe so, no.
Was there anything else on his person?
I don't believe so.
Your Honor, no further questions at this time.
Any redirect.
Redirect, Your Honor. Okay, so if you could tell us a little bit about the very first traffic violation that you witnessed the defendant commit.
When the defendant pulled out of the private drive at the Burger King / Royal Liquor, it didn't come to a complete stop before pulling out of the private drive, which in motor vehicle code, you have to come to a complete stop before pulling out.
Okay, so is that when you started following, or you and your partner started following the defendant?
Correct.
And at what point did you put your lights on?
As we were turning on to Victor Avenue, or like second after.
Okay, and is Victor Avenue a busy street?
No.
Is it residential?
Yes.
Okay, it's
Or like neighborhood.
okay, so pretty easy to pull over in.
Yes, ample opportunity to pull over.
Okay, And regardless of the speed, the defendant continued going away from you?
Correct.
Okay. And did the defendant's brake lights turn on before Sergeant Williams pulled in front of them? Do you recall?
I don't.
Okay. Can I play that video? Thank you so much.
Are you refreshing his recollection?
Yes, Your Honor.
You're gonna ask him if that's gonna refresh his recollection?
Would it be helpful if I refresh your recollection?
Yes.
Would the video serve as an accurate way to refresh your memory?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't think it stopped the stream, it started.
Yeah, because it somehow it froze over there somehow.
I'm just refreshing his memory really, so it's
Okay,
not
if you
that,
wanna.
yeah, it's fine. Thank you. Oh, it's like panicking. Okay. Here you go.
Well, no, I need to see it too, actually.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I've just like taken over your laptop, Mr. Goodrich. Let's see, the Zoom?
You're not in there anymore?
Yeah,
Not in there.
let's see.
Share.
Nope.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened. I could pull it up on mine too if I needed it. Just figured it'd be easier.
Showing that in the meeting, so Your Honor, we're gonna leave the meeting, come back.
Sounds good.
It looks like Zoom glitched out on us.
It's better than the glitches we had last week where they just kept shutting down, and kicking us all out.
Sure.
College on Zoom. Uh-oh.
It says I'm muted.
I just muted you.
Thank you.
Your Honor, have you given us back the control?
I have.
Well, it should play up there, but just in case, I'll bring it to you as well.
Okay, and so for the record, the lights are not activated until he turns to Victor, correct?
Correct. When the
Okay.
sound turns on, that's when the light.
Okay. I was gonna say, did you hit the sound button? Because I don't hear any sound. You might have to exit off the share, and then when you restart the share.
Redo it. Got it.
Share sounds.
Okay, yeah, it says turn up volume.
Just click the share sound and you see that on the bottom side.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay,
Yes,
there you
yes,
go.
yes.
Future courtrooms will have technology, I'm sure, but we don't have to do this.
This is a big box. Sorry, it was glitching out, but I got it for real now, I think.
Oh.
Okay, hopefully this is it.
Northbound on Marion. Marion.
Watch this again.
What, Chief?
Sweep lights on.
We're still slow rolling. Mod Taylor. Still slow rolling. We might be coming to a stop on Marion. 19, we're still rolling. Turning northbound on Marion.
Okay, did that refresh your memory?
Yes.
Okay, so did the defendant come to, did the brake lights turn on before Sergeant Williams arrived?
So he braked for the turn, but then you see the brake lights come off again. And then the brake lights turn on again as Sergeant Williams pulled the turn.
Okay, and there wasn't any traffic at all on that street, was there?
Correct.
Or the next street that was turned down, isn't that correct?
Correct.
And when you were following behind after the second turn,
What second turn are you talking about?
forget it, I'll move on
Oh.
because I lost my train of thought anyway,
Okay.
Your Honor, so. So just to clarify, there was no traffic on those streets. Would you say there was opportunity for the defendant to have stopped?
Yes.
When you've been in similar traffic stop situations, would there have been an opportunity to stop? Like comparing that to your other traffic stop situations, experiences?
I would say this situation compared to every other one in my career, there was as much opportunity or more opportunity to stop than every other traffic stop that I've made in 4 years.
And at what point was the vehicle in park?
After he was stopped and we were at the vehicle.
So the vehicle wasn't in park until you had approached the vehicle?
Correct.
Okay. And would you have been able to see the firearm through the window of the vehicle?
Objection, I guess calling for speculation.
The question was, would you be able to see the firearm with what?
From the window of the vehicle.
I thought you asked that question.
It's the exact question I objected to.
You can answer that.
Yes, the firearm was not fully tucked under the seat. It was, I would say, at the front of the seat where it would be visible from through the front window or through the windshield of the vehicle.
Okay, and when you spoke with the defendant, did he say anything indicative of anything about that firearm?
He said that firearm was registered to him.
Okay. So was it your impression that the defendant knew that firearm was there?
Yes.
Thank you. 1 second. No further questions.
Your Honor, may I ask one follow-up in response to the redirect? Trooper, you said there was no traffic on that road, correct?
On Victor.
On Victor.
Correct.
Wasn't there an entire stream of police vehicles behind your vehicle?
That would be behind us, yes.
Yes. So if he's pulling off the side because there's an entire line of vehicles behind you at that time, isn't that fair to say?
No.
It's not, no. So there weren't any like Lansing police officers and unmarked vehicles following right behind you? And there wasn't Sergeant Williams following behind you?
There was, but as you can see, there's ample time to stop off on the side of Victor Avenue, 20 before he stopped.
But those other vehicles wouldn't have had their lights on, correct?
Correct.
So wouldn't it be reasonable for a person who saw a line of traffic behind the police officer to pull on to the next street and let that line of traffic continue going?
No, it's a residential street. And there's plenty of room, there's no traffic oncoming, there's plenty of room for vehicles to get by. And it's a simple concept of when the lights come on, you pull
A
over.
person driving wouldn't need to worry about the traffic coming from the other direction. It's their side of the street that you need to worry about, right? As far as pulling over and having space for the officer and such.
Well, if what you're saying is he wants room for those vehicles to get by him, there's no traffic oncoming, there's plenty of room.
On the other side, yeah, but he's not going to pull over to the other side of the street, right? I mean, he's going to pull over to the right.
Correct. And that leaves plenty of room for.
Right. Your Honor, no further questions at this time.
Okay, I just need you to play the video for me again. I just need to see how many seconds went by before he stopped.
Can Trooper Morgan be excused at this time, Your Honor? Would you like to keep?
I don't have any questions for him. You can be excused. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Do you have another witness or?
No, none, Your Honor.
Did not show him.
It's not.
I'm sorry.
Everybody else very warm?
It's really hot in here.
Okay, I'm like, am I gonna pass out? Like.
That's why I have you turn on the camera. You want to borrow this?
No,
Let me.
Yeah, please take it back some.
Okay, here we go.
I wish it wouldn't block the timer out so I can use that to count. I don't know why it's blocking it out for me. It's glitching too.
Black Jeep. We're still slow rolling. Mod Taylor. Still slow rolling. You might be coming to stop on Marion. 19, we're still rolling. Turning northbound on Marion.
22 seconds. 22 seconds. Took about 22 seconds. Okay. Any no defense witnesses today?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. You can make argument.
Thank you, Your Honor. The defendant, Ahmad Taylor, is being charged today with carrying a pistol in a vehicle, as well as fleeing and eluding in the 4th degree. I'll start with carrying a pistol in a vehicle. The elements include that there was a pistol in a vehicle that the defendant was in. We've established that today through Trooper Morgan's testimony. Additionally, the second element is that the defendant knew the pistol was there. The pistol was tucked in the passenger side of the vehicle, as Trooper Morgan indicated, and Trooper Morgan also indicated that the defendant had immediately acknowledged that firearm upon getting out of the vehicle, which also establishes further that he knew the pistol was there at the time. The third element of that charge is that the defendant took part in carrying or keeping the pistol in the vehicle. The defendant, Ahmad Taylor, was the sole person in that vehicle. And additionally, that firearm was registered to him. So we do believe all the elements are satisfied on that. Additionally, Your Honor, the location was established as beginning at MLK and Victor Avenue and continued throughout the city of Lansing, County of Ingham, State of Michigan, as Trooper Morgan testified. Additionally, this occurred on October 30th, 2024, as confirmed by the videos and Trooper Morgan's testimony today. Further, the defendant is charged with fleeing and eluding in the 4th degree. The elements of this charge include, the elements of this crime include that there was a police officer in uniform and they were performing their lawful duties, and that the vehicle was identified as law enforcement. Trooper Morgan testified today that him and his partner, Trooper Schaefer, were both dressed in their Michigan State Police uniforms, as well as in a Michigan State Police vehicle equipped with lights and sirens. The second element of that crime is that the defendant was driving a motor vehicle. That's made apparent here that the defendant, Ahmad Taylor, was driving the vehicle that we see here on the screen that was included in those videos. My apologies. The third element is that the officer ordered that the defendant stop their vehicle. This was indicative by the lights and sirens. And fourth, we have the defendant knew of the order. Again, this would be indicative by the lights and sirens that were clearly seen in the rearview mirror and clearly heard. As we could see from the videos today, there was no traffic on any of the roads, especially not any oncoming traffic. It was very late. There were ample opportunities for the defendant to pull over. And the fifth element of that charge is that the defendant refused to obey that order by trying to flee or avoid being caught. While it was only 22 seconds and the defendant was moving at a slower speed, none of that is required for this element to be met. He was fleeing officers for that amount of time.
Well, those are major things. Only going 20 miles per hour and in only 22 seconds, but none of those are required. What do you mean none of those are required? Where in the elements does it say he must stop within the first 22 seconds?
So nowhere in the elements does it say that, Your Honor. The elements just include that they refuse to obey the order. So I suppose the time is something that would be subjective here. However, the speed I believe to be irrelevant. If you're moving away, then he's moving away from the officers. Refusing to stop is refusing to stop, whether you're doing it at 20 miles per hour or 100 miles per hour. But yes, I do suppose the time would be subjective here.
What about the fact that as I watched the video, it does appear that his brake lights are on before I see this other trooper vehicle get in front of him, and he's pulled over. Not that the trooper vehicle came just in front of him. He's pulled over to the curb before that vehicle gets in front of him. That vehicle didn't cut him off. He didn't have to jolt on the brakes really quickly. He was already stopped.
Yes, Your Honor. But did fail to stop for the 22 seconds prior to that for our troop.
Valid. Okay.
So the people would ask that both of these charges be bound over to circuit court.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Goodrich.
Thank you, Your Honor. First of all, Your Honor, the defense would contest that the officers did not have a valid reason to pull over the vehicle to start with. While Trooper Morgan, claimed that, he saw a rolling stop coming out of Royal Liquor. That is something that is extremely subjective, that you could basically say about every vehicle that pulls out of a parking lot. They make no effort to pull the vehicle over until they follow him for a long ways, until they can look for something legitimate to pull him over on. Again, that doesn't appear on their videos.
What doesn't appear on the video?
The part of the rolling stop.
Oh, okay.
That again, because that was too far before they turn on their sirens for that to matter. Then he claimed that, he saw we found out that car didn't have insurance. But when we watch Exhibit A, you can see him going through the name and finding the name Ahmad Taylor after the lights were already on the vehicle. So we would contend that there is no reasonable suspicion to even pull this vehicle over. Then going from there.
Let me just make sure I'm clear in your argument. So you're saying that you don't believe that they determined that he didn't have insurance? Is that what you're saying?
I believe they determined that after they had already turned on the lights to pull him over.
Okay, based on the fact that you saw them
looking up that and then saying, okay, it appears to be, it's Ahmad Taylor. We find that out. That's all after the sirens are already on the vehicle. So that is, I think, evidence of when he actually got that information.
That was on this clip, this video?
I think it's on the other video that we showed. You can hear him talking in the car better. This one you can hear it a little bit.
I was gonna say, I didn't remember hearing any names. Okay.
You hear Ahmad Taylor, but you don't necessarily hear all the context around it.
But if you, exactly, so we don't know why the name was said Ahmad Taylor. We don't know based on that video that it was said because they were at that moment running the plate, but that's.
I think that is something very fair to imply based on the circumstances.
That could be, or it could be that they had already ran it too.
And then moving forward from there, Your Honor, when they get to the vehicle, well, first of all, I'm trying to think of the order to do it in. I guess we'll go to the fleeing and eluding, which is count 2 first. The court found essentially it was 22 seconds after the lights turned on. I think any person would naturally need a couple seconds to even notice the lights were there. The officer testified, while he kept testifying that it was a completely empty street, I finally got him at the end to admit that there was a whole stream of police officers behind him. We see on scene here in the video, you can see several Lansing Police Department officers. You can see multiple Michigan State Police officers. So you see him driving 15 to 20 miles an hour for a block and then turning onto the first street to get out of the road where all of these vehicles were about to go past. He didn't know they were police officers. They didn't have their lights on. I think when we look at this video, he's over on the curb. He doesn't need to be cut off, and the police, like I said, go in front, completely block him from going forward. So I don't think we've met the elements of fleeing and eluding at all, because I think he pulled over in a very reasonable manner.
Well, the officer didn't say that the officer cut him off, completely blocked him. So that can't be, if he was gonna flee, the officer didn't completely block him, he could have kept going.
Well, he said he blocked him off on the road.
Yeah, he blocked him to the left side, but I saw it on the video, but it's also consistent with officers or the trooper's testimony that the vehicle could have veered to the right and kept going.
Right, had he driven onto the side, essentially, as well. Then, Your Honor, I believe we have an illegal search of the vehicle where the officer, without probable cause, enters the vehicle to allegedly turn the vehicle off, when you can see in the video, Mr. Taylor is there with his hands up, like stepping out of the vehicle, and he uses that as a ruse, basically, to get into the vehicle and open the door and create better angles for looking around. After Mr. Taylor's already out of the vehicle, then you can see him turn on the flashlight and start peeking around, leaning into the car, where he claims to have seen the firearm. So I don't believe that firearm would be admissible in a trial based on the fact that it was found that this is a legal search. He could have waited and done an inventory search of the vehicle, but that's not what he chose to do based on these circumstances.
So his testimony was that he could see it with the door closed because it wasn't fully.
Well, he was speculating that he may have been able to. He did not see it when the door was closed. He used the fact that the door was open. We can see him on the video leaning in with his flashlight to see it. It is unclear whether you would ever see that firearm. We have not seen any evidence of what the gun looked like under the seat or anything at that time. So, Your Honor, I would ask the court to deny bind over on all 3 counts for the reasons stated. In regard to felony firearm, the fact that there's no fleeing and eluding here would mean that there'd be no felony firearm to go with. So we would ask that all 3 counts be denied at this time.
Any further argument?
I would just like to clarify, Your Honor, that I believe I misspoke when I made my argument and asked for bind over on all 2 counts, but I would like to clarify that there are 3 counts.
I know you. No problem.
Thank you. That's all.
No problem. Okay, today was the date that was scheduled for the preliminary examination, and the burden is on the prosecution to establish probable cause that the alleged felonies were committed, and then probable cause that you, Mr. Taylor, committed those felonies. So the burden here is not beyond a reasonable doubt. That's the burden that they would face if this matter were to go all the way to a jury trial. Today, they just need more than mere suspicion that the alleged crimes occurred. So it's a relatively low burden of proof here. And so we've had testimony today from one witness, that's Trooper Andrew Morgan. He testified that on or about October 30th, 2024, that they were doing surveillance at the Royal Liquor Store. He described that area to be what they call a hot spot, or an area where they typically notice some criminal activity being or engaged in over there, and that is at the area of MLK and Holmes Road. He stated that he had observed a subject walk from the vehicle to the liquor store with his hand in a hoodie pocket, and he could tell that there was a heavy object in that pocket. I think he described the subject using his left hand. He later identified the subject to be the defendant in the courtroom, Ahmad Rashad Taylor. That the defendant later left the Royal Liquor Store, pulled out of the parking lot without coming to a complete stop. That always throws me off. I got pulled off for that one time when I was in law school. It's just, I'm just coming out of my own personal driveway. And I believe that that is can be a precursory stop, and has proven to be, even in that particular case. I'm on my way to the law library. They don't know that, but I get stopped. There are shining lights all through the window of the vehicle. And when I ask why I'm being stopped, and they said, "Where are you heading?" I'm going to the law library. Then it switches to, "Well, you were coming from a high crime area. You failed to stop after leaving a drive." And so I know that it's typically used as a precursory stop. Nonetheless, that was the first thing that was observed. He was not stopped for that, though. And so they continue to follow behind the defendant. The testimony is that they ran his plates. It came back EIV, meaning no insurance. The defense wants to now argue that they don't believe, that he does not believe that they actually ran the plate until after the fact of the stop. But that could be the case, could not be the case. I didn't see anything that showed me unequivocally what time they ran the plate. And this testimony of this witness under oath was that the plate was ran prior to the stop, came back no insurance. That gives them a reason to stop. If they weren't going to run the plate and do all of that, then they could have just stopped him based on the failure to stop after exiting the drive, but they didn't do that. They found another reason. When the lights were activated, I had you replay the video so that I could see how long it took for the defendant to stop after the lights being activated. And it was about 22 seconds in time. And from what I observed, the defendant pulled over on the next street. I don't know what street that was. Was that Victor? That wasn't Victor. I don't know what street he was turning. He turned right off of Victor onto another street and over towards the right side of the curb, and his brake lights came on at the same time that another state trooper vehicle was cutting off in front of that vehicle to the left. I do not believe that the stop occurred because that officer got in front of him. I believe that he was pulling over off the side. I don't know why it took him 22 seconds. I don't think 22 seconds under certain circumstances is unreasonable. Was 22 seconds to stop reasonable in these circumstances? It's unclear, because I see a dark, empty road. There are some cars that appear to be parked on the other side. I don't know that someone being stopped is considering or even can see how many cars are behind them, and or whether or not he needs to make a stop that's done safely so that the people behind him, behind the trooper, can get down the street. I don't know. That's possible. It's a good argument, but that's not evidence that's before the court. That's just possibilities. There's a number of possibilities as to whether or not that's happening. But when I look at the totality of the count two, he's only driving 20 miles per hour. Is someone driving 20 miles per hour reasonably trying to avoid being pulled over? I don't think so. But are they obeying the order to be pulled over? No, they are not. And so I think it's a weak case, but it's still a case nonetheless. I think there is sufficient probable cause as to count two, fleeing and eluding 4th degree under the penal code that will be bound over to the circuit court. The officer testified as to the weapon carrying concealed, that they opened the door to turn the vehicle off, as simultaneously as the defendant is being escorted out of the vehicle. Yes, they could have done a search incident to arrest, but as he was opening that vehicle, there is a firearm in plain view. I didn't see any pictures either, but I'm sure if there was pictures, because I did see it on the video, a trooper, looked like Trooper Hirschman, but I could be wrong, looked like he was trying to take pictures. So there must be some pictures somewhere that if there were photos that would have shown a vantage point that would change my mind, that could have been presented today, but that I didn't have that. I had the video, and I see in the video as he was now out of the vehicle, it's in plain view. I didn't see him having to lean in and look under the seat in order to see that the handle of that firearm. It was there. Whether or not he could see that with the door closed, I believe we don't know, because it would cause for speculation, because the door was already open. And I think that under the totality of circumstances, it's reasonable for the officers to reach in and turn the vehicle off, because we got someone who obviously knows that the officers are following him. They follow him all the way down MLK almost. Like, you got to know that they're following you. I saw when the lights zoomed in on his license plate. He had reason to know that he was being stopped. It should not have taken 22 seconds for him to pull over. I don't care if he was going 20 miles per hour. The officers can believe a number of things is going on in that vehicle during those 22 seconds. And so then when he's taken to custody, he references the firearm. So as to count one and count three, there's sufficient probable cause. Those will all be bound over, count 1 through 3 will be bound over to the circuit court for further prosecution. The bind over date is going to be May 7th. And that's the date the circuit court received the file from the district court, not a date that you need to appear in circuit court. Okay, Mr. Taylor? Your next court date will be a pre-trial, and your attorney will be made aware of that date. Let's see. We have an address for you on North Price. Is that so accurate?
Yes, ma'am.
Phone number ending in 5653. That's still correct?
Yes.
Okay, bond was 1,000. Personal recognizance, it will continue. Any additional matters for the record?
Yes, Your Honor, the people would like to make a motion to amend count 2. I believe the language in count 2 just says that the defendant moving away from Trooper Luke Schaefer. We would like to amend that to include Trooper Andrew Morgan and or Trooper Luke Schaefer.
Okay. So I did notice on the video, it did say Luke Schaefer.
Yes.
That's whose vehicle was it?
Schaefer's vehicle.
They're partners, Your Honor.
Morgan was in the
okay.
passenger seat.
Got it. Okay.
The dash cam goes to the guy driving.
Okay, so you want it to be and or?
Yes,
Trooper
please.
Morgan. Okay, that motion is granted.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Any additional matters for the record?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you.
You'll have to learn the 7th. After that date, then I'll get the court date, something.